Maxol, an Irish family business at the heart of your community for over 100 years. Sponsors Camera Club on Ireland AM.
Welcome back. As always, we asked viewers to get involved in our Ireland AM Camera Club, and we were blown away by this month's entries. Photographer Jenny McCarthy joins us this morning to reveal the winner. But first, here are just some of the fantastic photos we received. Such gorgeous images there. Good morning to you, Jenny. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Delighted to be back on set.
Oh, we're delighted to have you in. You had a tough job this month, I tell you.
Oh, I'm telling you.
I know. How are you feeling, first of all? Because you were unwell. You gave us all a bit of a fright.
I was, yeah. I had my appendix out in the last 10 days. So I was only back to work one day, Laura, after being closed for 4 months. Opened my studio on the Monday and got really sick on the Tuesday and had to be taken to hospital and had my appendix out. So
you couldn't make it up.
You couldn't make it up. So this is my first day out and back. So I'm delighted to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad you're feeling well. You're looking great anyway. And we're thrilled to have you with us to judge this month's camera competition. What I love about the black and white photos is that I think they're always so dramatic and powerful. Tell us, first of all, what makes the perfect black and white photo?
Well, it's funny, right? Because when you take a photograph in colour, a lot of photographs are perfect in colour and you wouldn't dream of turning them into black and white. But when you're purposely going out to take a black and white photograph, there are lots of different compositional elements you need to keep in mind, because you no longer have colour now to describe the story. So you're looking at like texture, shape and form, different patterns in the shot. And the key to a black and white image, a really good black and white image, is the contrast between the blacks and the whites.
OK, well, I am miserable and terrible at taking black and white photos. The only black and white photos actually I have in my home are of my baby taken by you 8 years ago. But they're very powerful, so I love that. They're so dramatic. Now, we do have finalists today. You've managed to whittle it down to 3, and it's time to meet the 3 finalists. First up, we have Mary Green from Dublin to tell us all about her fabulous photo of Clonsilla Station.
Hello, my name is Mary Green and I live in Clonsilla in Dublin. I took this photograph of Clonsilla Station, which is near me. It's a very old station. And what I love about it was on the morning, a wintry morning in February, and this place was covered in snow. The light was very moody to the left-hand side because there was an impending storm again, and to the right it was very bright, and it's the interaction of the light on the tracks and on the snow in a very empty, forlorn station as we were in lockdown. I'm delighted it's a finalist in the Camera Club competition. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. What a beautiful photo.
What a stunning shot. So, you know, I mentioned texture, shape and form, and that photograph has everything. So when you look at the shot of the railway lines, they're leading lines that take you into the image, right up to the back of the image, actually. The contrast, Laura, between the shadows and the light areas are unbelievable. And also the composition in the photograph. So you've got your leading lines taking you into the photograph, and then you've got the horizontal line going through the middle of the image, which is the railway crossing. And there's lots of patterns, so she really, really nailed that shot.
Mary described it as a forlorn image. To me, it looks like something that, you know, is 100 years old.
Doesn't it? And that's the thing about black and white. You know, sometimes you can just get that black and white photograph that could have been taken 100 years ago or just yesterday.
And you mightn't know.
And you mightn't know.
That's all about the guessing. I love it. Now we'll meet our next finalist. It's Martina Lawler from Wexford and her stunning photo of her grandmother, Maureen.
Hi, I'm Martina from Ballygar, County Wexford. Thank you so much for choosing my photo for today's final, as I'm only new to photography. My photograph is of my beautiful grandmother Maureen, who is an absolute legend in the local community. It was taken in her doorway of her little thatched cottage, which is over 200 years old. Maureen is always waiting in the doorway of this house with a smile on her face, ready to welcome everyone and anyone in for a cup of tea and a seat at her table. I hope the photograph will give you a small insight into the powerhouse and the legend of the woman that she is.
Thanks, Martina. And so lovely to hear the story behind the photograph, because the photograph itself really speaks to you, but actually hearing the story behind.
Well, it's quite an emotional story, actually, isn't it? When you look at this shot, Laura, just look at how powerful, first of all, it is. So, you know, first of all, look at the white around the doorway. Your eye is always drawn to the brightest part of the image. That's the first thing you look at. And then it draws you in. Like, look at the dark shadows around her. And her hair and her face. Her face is so inviting. It's just a really powerful shot. And the composition in that shot is 100%. The rule of thirds, she absolutely nailed. So she's actually in one of the intersecting lines. So that's what the rule of thirds are. They're like, if you can envisage sort of two lines going down your image and then two lines going across, she's actually on one of those intersecting lines. And it's just really, really powerful. Also, I suppose the contrast in the image between the whites and the blacks are unbelievable.
Would that photograph worked as well if it was in colour?
No, it absolutely wouldn't have.
Why?
No.
What would we have been drawn to instead?
You probably would have been drawn to maybe the colour of the door. I mean, the door is quite old, you know, and the image is an old image, you know, and it really lends itself to a black and white shot, you know, so definitely colour, or definitely black and white. I would have taken the colour out of it. It's amazing.
Beautiful photo.
Stunning.
So different from your first finalist too. Right, finally, here we have Brian Flynn from County Laois to tell us about the incredible picture of his late father, Michael.
Hi, my name is Brian Flynn. I'm married to Janet. We have 3 kids, Cody, Jack and Willow. I'm a member of the Thai Photography Society. I want to thank my mother. She taught me about the competition on Ireland AM, and photographs of my father. As you can see, he's always smiling. He was always in good humour. He was a great man, and thank you for picking my photo. It's brilliant. I'm delighted. Thank you.
Gosh, I find that quite emotional. It's just the story about his late father, Michael, the fact he was always smiling, and that smile so perfectly captured in this image.
You know, photographs are priceless. I say that every day of my life, Laura. And what makes a good portrait? You know, I suppose capturing the personality of your subject and capturing some sort of element of their personality. And he certainly did that in that shot. Like, he's always smiling, you know, he'd a smile for everybody. Such a lovely, lovely image of him. And another thing that makes a good portrait is focusing on the eyes and having a good sense of depth of field in the image. So blow everything out in the background and draw your viewer into what the photograph is about. And it's just about that man. And how amazing is it in black and white? Like, the difference between the shadows again and the light. Like, you know, the left-hand side of his face is brighter than the right-hand side. It's an incredible photograph.
We don't know the gentleman, but it's almost as if we did know him in some sense by looking at that image.
Absolutely.
3 fabulous photos there, Jenny. It's tough, but who's the lucky winner?
Well, Maureen is the winner, yes.
Maureen's photo?
Yes, is the winner. I mean, it's just a stunning, stunning shot, you know. I kept going back to it. It stands out a mile, and yeah, I mean, they're all winners.
What was it stood out for you?
Well, you know, I suppose she draws you in, doesn't she, when you're looking at that photograph?
Yeah.
And you nearly feel like she's inviting you in for a cup of tea. And I never listen to the stories behind the images, Laura. I always just look at the images first. But yeah, that was just
well, big congratulations to Martina sending in that fabulous photo of Maureen, and of course to all of our finalists, and thank you to everybody for sending in their photos, and a big thank you to Maxol. Thanks to Maxol, our winner is going to receive a brand new camera worth an incredible €1,000, and our 2 runners-up are also going to receive €500 one for all vouchers. Jenny, pleasure as always. Go home and rest up now. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you. Coming up next, we're going to get to know some Irish businesses set to take the market by storm. See you in a few minutes.
Maxol, an Irish family business at the heart of your community for over 100 years. Sponsors Camera Club on Ireland AM.